On the bus or on the Met, you're in transit on CJAD 800.
All right, In Transit today takes a look at parking enforcement and the tools at hand to ensure parking enforcement. There's a new tool that is turning heads. Some of you may know of the Denver boot, right? Called the wheel clamp. You know that, and the city of Montreal has used the Denver boot at times to try and get parking scofflaws to pay their tickets. But this new product is called the Barnacle. It's big, it's yellow, it's sticky, and it's loud. It'll make intense noise if you try and pry it off your car. And more municipalities around North America are taking a look at this Barnacle product. Let's find out more from Colin Heffron, chairman of Barnacle Parking. Colin, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning, Elias. How are you today?
I'm doing well. So why don't you paint this picture for our listeners? We're on the radio here, right? So I can't show an image of the Barnacle, but I think you can make a really nice description of it. Tell our listeners about the Barnacle.
So it's about the size of your windshield. It unfolds, so it's easy to carry, but the administrator would unfold it and lay it on the windscreen of your car, and then type in a 4-digit code that engages the vacuum and electrifies two giant suckers that put about 1,000 pounds of pressure down on your windshield. So it really stays secure, and it blocks the entire vision of the driver. So it really immobilizes the car.
Because once the windshield is blocked, right, it's impossible to drive unless you're going to stick your head out the window and be very dangerous.
Yeah, and then wherever you're going, whenever you got there, it would still be on your windshield. So unless you're planning on doing that for the rest of your driving career, it's sort of pointless.
Now, I mentioned off the top, the Denver boot, right? Wheel clamp, whatever you call it, that's existed for a long time. Why is your product, why is the Barnacle superior to that?
So a couple different things. The number one difference, I think, is it's self-releasing. So if you're caught parking illegally or if you haven't paid your fines, et cetera, you come out to your car and the Barnacle is on top of your windshield. It's pretty simple. You QR code the device. You can follow directions that are written on the Barnacle. It takes you to a website. You put in your license plate. You pay all your fines, and then you get a 4-digit code. You type it in. The vacuum's release. You unfold it, and you get a text of where the closest drop box is. And I'd say most of them are within a quarter mile. So you're kind of on your way in 5 or 10 minutes versus, the boot. You got to wait sometimes 4 or 6 hours for whoever's going to take it off to come and take it off. Very often, you actually have to go somewhere, pay all your fines, and then go back to your car and wait. So it really is just far more convenient. And on top of that, it's, whoever comes back to take the boot off is generally driving a truck. So you're burning more gas, more fuel. So it's just all around just a better solution.
So tell me what the response has been. Where is the Barnacle being used right now, and how's it doing?
So we started in 2017, kind of fought our way through COVID, and now we're in 41 states. I'd say our largest cities are sort of the Charleston, Columbia, South Carolina, Vegas levels, although I think this interview might have come along because the NYPD is now demoing the product. They have 14 devices that they're using sort of every day, and that's generated a lot of press. So we're in Canada a little bit, but we're getting a lot of leads in Canada right now, so we expect that we'll be penetrating Canada much more in the coming year.
Any issues with climate? Obviously, when we think about Canada, cold winters and that kind of thing, you've got suction cups, you've got batteries that are obviously a Denver boot would just be a mechanical product, not that doesn't have to deal with those issues. How does the Barnacle do in winter?
So that's a great question. When we started out, our battery lasted about 3 days. Now our batteries last 7 days, maybe 6 in Sitka, Alaska, or Arizona, or Miami. So we're in all of those places. So we've tested it over and over again. So it's done really well in extreme temperatures.
Let me ask you about it being used as a theft deterrent, right? Because I like here in Canada, Montreal specifically, we have a big problem with car theft. There have been stories where, at the airport and hotels near the airport, they've actually offered their guests wheel clamps, Denver boots to use while they go away on a trip in order to deter theft. Could your product be used in that method as well? Is there an opening there as a car theft deterrent?
Yes, we're actually in the process of reviewing that. But you can imagine with the ability of two-way communication, alarm, GPS, and the suction, we think that it could definitely be used that way. We don't have a product out yet, but we're applying for patents.
Can it be removed at all? You know, people that haven't paid tickets, they can be very creative at times to not pay tickets. So can it be removed without damaging the car? You know, I think we've all seen like YouTube or Twitter videos where someone tries to drive off with the Denver boot on, often not very successfully. Is there a way to remove this? If you're very crafty, can you get rid of the barnacle?
So I think anything can be beat, given time and the right amount of tools. But I don't think you can remove it without damaging the windshield. So I think in time, it can, with the right tools, you could get it off. But I think you'd wind up smashing or cracking your windshield.
What about the results here for the cities that are using the Barnacle? Does the Barnacle lead to more tickets being paid off or less cost? Like, what's the economic case you make when you go to cities?
So I think it's I think it definitely drives compliance. So, it's greener. It's much safer for the person putting it on. It's much more convenient for the person who's been barnacled. But on top of that, it drives compliance because, we all park illegally occasionally. So if you drive into the parking lot and you see cars that are all parked there, they may be booted, but you don't know it. If someone gets towed, you don't know it. If someone gets barnacled, believe me, you know it. You see what, Jimmy Fallon called SpongeBob on somebody's window or 3 or 4 cars' windows, and it definitely drives compliance. So it's definitely getting people to pay their tickets more often and park more legally.
Obviously, you're on a radio station in Montreal. We're paying attention here. Are you finding you're getting more calls coming from Canada?
For sure. Most recently, there's been a few articles in the press, and we're getting quite a few more calls from Canada. And as you said, funny enough, quite a few about theft deterrent. So we learned a lot that car theft in Canada, for whatever reason, seems to be a real problem. So we're addressing that as well as just normally it's from universities, towns, and police forces.
Do you have competition, Colin? Is there someone else making a similar product to you? Got the good name, you got the Barnacle name, but do you have competitors?
So we don't have competitors on anything on the windshield because we are protected by global patents. I think we have competitors. I guess the tow truck in theory, and some of the older boots are our competitor. But I think generally people are moving away from the boot and moving away from towing because they find it to be sort of a sledgehammer to crack a nut, if you will. Mm-hmm. Whereas this is sort of a lighter touch, drives compliance, and you can get it off and move on and get to work or move on with your day.
Colin, I mentioned people that don't pay tickets, they're crafty. And I got a text message from a listener now, okay? Have a listen to this. I need a response. So a listener writes, I saw a news article about how to take off the Barnacle. As it turns out, to take off the Barnacle, all you need to do is run your vehicle's windshield defroster for 15 minutes, and then you use a credit card or other thin piece of plastic to release the suction cup. Presto, you're free. What about that, Colin? Can you get rid of the Barnacle with the defroster?
No, you can't. It's been used 2,000 to 3,000 times a month all this year, if not more, and no one's ever gotten it off with a defroster and a credit card. But it is on Reddit, and it does say that, so that's why that person is saying that. But no, it's not possible.
Well, Colin, listen, I hope to never encounter your product, but I wish you success.
Thank you very much, and thanks for your time. And I hope you never get one as well.
Thanks so much. That's Colin Heffron, chairman of Barnacle Parking. Do a search there for Barnacle Parking if you want to see that image of what this product looks like.